You got the shard, I need the shard, give me the shard, I need the shard, give me the shard, they're gonna whack me, I'm gonna be done without that shard.
Welcome back, Autobots, Decepticons, and everything in between to another episode of Fixing Transformers. In today's, we're going to take a look at what happened to Wheelie after Transformers Dark of the Moon and how he randomly shows up in Transformers The Last Night. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, if you don't remember who Wheelie was, here's a quick recap on him. We first met Wheelie in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. He was sent by Soundwave to spy on Sam Witwicky. When an incident involving the Allspark shard occurred, he scanned Michaela Baines as she departed. Wheelie noticed that she had a piece of the Allspark and sent a transmission to inform Soundwave. On hearing this, Soundwave ordered Wheelie to steal the Allspark fragment from Michaela. He would later go to Michaela's dad's bike shop to steal the shard from the safe. But due to all the noise that he made, Michaela found him, interrogating him on what he was doing there, burning his eye in the process. Once she got the info that she needed, she put him in a box and took him away. Later in the film, Wheelie was let out of the box at Seymour Simmons' deli in New York City. Michaela promised that she would not hurt him if he would explain the symbols that Sam had been hallucinating about. Wheelie identified the symbols as the language of the primes, and said that he couldn't read them. But when he noticed the pictures of vehicles, he identified them as seekers, saying they could read the language and he could tell them where to find them. With the closest seeker being in Washington, D.C., Wheelie accompanied Michaela, Sam, Simmons, Leo, Bumblebee, Skids, and Mudflap to find Jetfire at the Air Museum, where they would use a shard to bring Jetfire back to life. Jetfire, once awakened, would ask about the state of the Civil War, and would inform the group that he switched sides to the Autobots. Wheelie, shocked on how Jetfire defected from the Decepticons, decided to defect too and join the Autobots. And later, once the group made their way to Egypt, we would see Wheelie be with the gang up until the point where he closes the pyramid door. And after that shot, we would not see him again up until Dark of the Moon, where he would be living in Sam's house alongside his partner in crime, Brains. And if you want to learn more about Brains, check out my What Happened to Brains video to find out more. But moving back onto Wheelie, we would learn that Sam had broken up with Michaela and was planning to move in with his new girlfriend, Carly. Wheelie would advise Sam that that decision may not be the best one, since she may throw him out like Michaela did. Later in the film, when the Autobots get exiled, Wheelie and Brains would tell Sam that the exile was a Decepticon trap, but there was nothing Sam could do to stop it. Later, when the Autobots returned from being exiled, Wheelie would say that the Autobots were back to win this war. And win a war they did indeed, but to win a war you need to make sacrifices. And Wheelie and Brains made one of the biggest sacrifices in Dark of the Moon. They hijacked a Decepticon mothership by destroying its controls, dropping several Decepticon fighter ships and soldiers from the ship, causing a distraction for Soundwave just at the right second, preventing Bumblebee from being executed. This would allow the Autobots to gain an essential lead in the battle, which ultimately let them win the Chicago War, proving a duo's worth in the end. But as the ship went down, the two would say their final goodbyes to each other, believing that they would die in the crash. But this would not be the case, since Wheelie appears in Transformers The Last Night with no explanation whatsoever to where he was during the events of Age of Extinction. And speaking of Age of Extinction, we know that Brains survived the crash since he was captured by Kinetic Solutions Incorporated to work on their man-made Transformers. And to learn more about KSI, check out my video on how KSI drones work. But with that out of the way, we clearly have our question on the table. What happened to Wheelie after the crash and how he made it into Transformers The Last Night? But before I tackle that question, I want to backtrack and answer where he was during the third act of Revenge of the Fallen. So as I stated earlier, last time we saw Wheelie in Revenge of the Fallen was when he closed the door to the pyramid. So with that in mind, we need to figure out how he would eventually be back with Sam in Dark of the Moon. Now you may think that he was with Sam and the gang the whole time, but he didn't show himself on screen. Now though this is a fair claim to make, this would be false. Since if you think about it, none of the gang even refers to Wheelie, with all of them acting like he isn't even there with them. This is further backed up at the border patrol scene, where Wheelie is cracking jokes about the Egyptian guard, calling him a munchkin. And if you don't know, the actor of the guard is played by Deep Roy, who played Oompa Loompas in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie. Now Wheelie's wisecracking jokes would definitely be seen when Leo was crying in Bumblebee, since it would be out of character for him not to say anything. So with this in mind, it rules out Wheelie being with Sam and the gang inside of Bumblebee. Now you could say that Wheelie could have been inside the twins, but this assumption would also be false, since during the Devastator scene, we would have definitely seen him somewhere on screen, and he would have definitely been sucked into Devastator due to his size. So with that, it rules out Wheelie being with Sam's party off screen. So with that, it concludes that Wheelie stayed behind in the pyramid. But why would he do this? Well, if we remember, Wheelie's a spy for Soundwave, so he would eventually need to report back to him on his whereabouts. So by staying behind and not being with the Autobots would make his story a lot more convincing in the case that Soundwave would scan his location. Now you may be wondering why Soundwave did not keep tabs on a spy. And the reason for that was because at the beginning of the film, Soundwave knew that there was only one shard in existence, the one that Michaela had in her possession. But when Soundwave came across the second shard at the Nest base, he turned his attention towards it, and once it was retrieved and used to revive Megatron, there would be no use for the shard that Wheelie was still trying to retrieve. So I would assume that Wheelie became more of an afterthought for Soundwave, since Wheelie's purpose in getting the shard was fulfilled by Ravage and Reedman. This can further be backed up when Wheelie said he was a salvage scrap drone, and that he would be dead without the shard, more or less being expendable. So in the grand scheme of things, with Wheelie not being needed anymore, Soundwave did not check up on him since he was an expendable drone, along with being busy coordinating Decepticon transmissions and attacks. But to answer how Wheelie went back home with the other Autobots, I say once the battle was done, he would either make his way to the Autobots war by using the smoke from the Star Harvester as a beacon, or by sending off a distress message of his location, for the Autobots to pick him up. or possibly a combination of both of these. So now with his Revenge of the Fallen story out of the way, let's move on to how Wheelie made his way into Transformers The Last Night. And well, to find out how he made it into Last Night, we gotta take a look at what happened to him in Dark of the Moon. And as I said before, Brains and Wheelie sacrificed themselves to crash a Decepticon mothership, with both of them thinking they would die in the process. And as we know, both of them came out alive. So this paints a picture of one of them escaping. And as we saw in Age of Extinction, we know that the United States has been working on restoring Chicago. This is proven because we saw a mothership in the process of getting demolished. So with that in mind, we can conclude that the mothership that Brains and Wheelie were in also got demolished as well. And I believe once they crashed, the two were knocked into stasis, which is more or less a coma for a Transformer. Eventually 5 years later after Dark of the Moon, which will be in 2017, Age of Extinction takes place in movie continuity. Cleanup crews from KSI come to take apart the mothership that the duo crashed. Brains and Wheelie are awakened by the sound of machinery, thus wondering what is going on. The two would then receive a distress message from Optimus saying that humans were hunting them and that they would have to cease contact. As the two would try to escape direct ship, they'd be spotted by cleanup crews and guards from KSI, who would try to apprehend them. As the two made their great escape, Brains got captured. Wheelie, not wanting to leave his friend behind, said he was going to stay with him, but Brains protested saying that Wheelie needed to run. Wheelie, taking his friend's advice, said he would come back for him, and would book it out of there. Sometime after the events of Age of Extinction, I speculate that Day Trader would go on one of his scavenging hunts to find junk. It would come across Wheelie and take him to Kate's junkyard. Now if you think Day Trader finding Transformers is far-fetched, let me change your mind. Since if you remember, he found Starscream's head in Buffalo, and most likely restored it to its former glory, along with the Autobot Transformer which he took to Kate's junkyard. So of those two prime examples, finding Transformers is definitely in the realm of possibility, giving more strength to the argument that Day Trader brought Wheelie to Kate's junkyard. And just like that, that's what happened to Wheelie after Transformers Dark of the Moon. But before I go, a quick word from day sponsor, World of Warships Legends. Now World of Warships Legends is a free-to-play MMO action about World War I and World War II naval battles with a multitude of ways to play, depending on your ship type, nation, particular commander, and battle tier. Their collaboration with Transformers is really cool, featuring Autobot and Decepticon-inspired ships and commanders, such as Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Megatron, and Rumble. Now these 4 Cybertronian commanders take full advantage of Legend's skill system, offering new ways to improve their faction's battleships, along with seeking new opportunities to deal maximum damage or withstand punishment. You can now enlist the help of these 4 iconic Transformers on your naval adventures. They will be released as unique ship skins with special animations. Choose the most appealing bundles in your premium shop. Get permanent camouflages, commanders with unique voiceovers, containers, and much more. Each bundle comes with a challenge for your Autobots and Decepticons, and completing these challenges will earn you special patches. Currently they're doing a giveaway for new players to get a leg up in their naval warfare. So if any of this interests you, check out the link in the description to start your naval adventure today. And well with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, check out the Fixing Transformers playlist for some more awesome theories. But before I go, I want to say thank you to my Patreons and channel members for supporting the channel. It means a lot and it keeps my channel running, so a big fat thank you to you guys. And as always, if you enjoyed this theory in the Fixing Transformers collection, please give it a like or rating because it helped the channel a lot. And as always, it's been Trans Theories reminding you guys to never stop theorizing.